Now, I mentioned last night, or maybe it was this morning,
I called it afternoon.
the governor's legal counsel said there was no appropriation in the budget for paid family leave. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there no appropriation for the state in terms of additional overtime to cover for these people when they're gone?
No.
Is there additional appropriation in the state to cover for replacement workers while they're gone?
No.
Is there any additional appropriation for the state to cover for the fact that you have insurance for the person who's gone and insurance for whoever's replacing them?
No.
So you're confident that there's absolutely no appropriation in this budget for paid family leave?
No, it's going to be paid for, but not by us, even though we did put money in to set it up. That was the discussion last night, if I remember correctly.
Well, I will assure you that I also could not find any appropriation either.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Well, I guess. But that brings me then to Article 7, Section 6, the non-rider provision of the state constitution, which says, no provision shall be embraced in an appropriation bill submitted by the governor or in a supplemental appropriation bill unless it relates specifically to an appropriation, and any such provision shall be limited in its operation to such appropriation. And the anti-rider provision in the state constitution was designed to make sure that when we're dealing with a budget, we're dealing with numbers and appropriations, and that, as you can appreciate, as we both do, that you can't dump program bills or add program bills that have no budgetary appropriation into the budget. It has to be voted on separately. So my question is, if there's no appropriation, how can the paid family leave provisions be included in a budget bill consistent with the anti-rider provisions of the Constitution?
Well, I can't answer that question because I'm not a lawyer, but I would remind you that, again, the financial services people are going to set it up, and they're going to say what is going to be done, when it's going to be done, and that's what we're doing. We're giving them the authority to do that, and then later, they will end up creating the money because this is an insurance program, in part, and then it will go into position. So we won't have to put any money into it.
Mr. Farrell, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Rea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the chairman continue to yield for some questions?
Yes, I will, Mr. Speaker.
Well, hopefully the rest of my discussion will go a little bit smoother than that. Denny, I know the hour is late, and you certainly are a miracle standing there for all these hours, but I'll try and move around as quickly as possible. There was some earlier discussion with respects to the minimum wage impact on areas of health care, and I'm a little fuzzy on some of it. So is there a minimum wage offset for hospitals in this budget?
Yes.
How much?
$500,000 for hospitals.
So $500,000?
Yes.
All right, I'm just jotting down some notes here. How about for nursing homes?
400,000.
400,000. How about home care?
24 million.
24 million. Okay. Where is that located in the budget?
It's in the Medicaid appropriation.
So what, in the eight to localities bill?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't see it. So it's not lined out in there, it's just the general appropriation for Medicaid, correct?
Right.
Okay. So add all that up, we're looking at 24, just under 25 million for nursing homes, home care, and home health care at nursing homes.
It's altogether 25.3 million.
Gotcha. It's my understanding the impact for just nursing homes, hospitals, and home care for 2016-17 is $379 million. Now, true, that may include compression, but we're still way off the mark.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
It's my understanding for just hospitals, nursing homes, and home care, the potential impact is $379 million just for 16-17 alone.
They're using compression. Yeah, they're doing it incorrectly. They're using what they call compression.
Compression. No,
Yes.
I'm aware of it.
And then that because of that, you have that funny number.
But that's
And a couple-
the old rising tide floats all ships,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's still a cost that they have to deal with, and it's one of the unintended consequences of raising the minimum wage is everybody that makes more than that now also has to go up. So those are real costs that the hospitals and nursing homes and home care are going to have to deal with, even if we don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
How about service providers for folks, the developmentally disabled? Is there money in the budget for them this year to offset Medicaid?
7.5 million.
7.5 million? All right, again, because I'm getting a number from them for this year alone, 649 million with compression, because you obviously...
Again, they're doing it they start from a different place than we start for the
Right.
numbers, and they use that compression.
All right, so ideally, I think we're going to see a lot of not-for-profits go under as a result of this, but I guess time will tell. Skipping along, how long, Denny, can you tell me how long we've had the health exchanges operating in New York State?
3 years.
3 years, where anyone can, go on the telephone, go online, apply for insurance that they can take from job to job to job, and it's always there for them, I guess, unless you had Health Republic, right?
Yes.
Okay. But yet, once again, I find myself having a conversation with you regarding the entertainment industry health insurance demonstration program. At what point can they join everybody else on the exchange program?
Yeah, they can do it now, but we're positive it'll be done next year.
All right, so are you making me a promise that we're not going to have this conversation next year?
What's the next question?
Thank you, Danny. Again, circling back to the minimum wage, I see there's a provision that deals with the monthly Medicaid cap reporting requirements and the minimum wage,
Yes.
correct? What is going to be the Department of Health's role in this? In other words, are they going to be now studying the impact of minimum wage on the healthcare industry?
They'd have to figure out what the cost is and then talk to the people and to provide the money. Who provides the money? Yeah. Medicaid, yeah.
So they're going to evaluate the impact of minimum wage upon the healthcare industry.
And ask for it.
What happens when it's determined that the minimum wage is ultimately destroying healthcare in New York State? Do they have the ability then to make recommendations on how to fix it?
Yes, we're not here to do damage, but once again, I say this once a stand-up. If there were to be trouble from creating and giving more wages, raising the wage, none of us would be here, because continually this fight goes on. We could probably go back 50 years ago and look and see when they were doing it then, what it was. We find out that the help it does, because the good part of it is people are making more money. That money is going to go back into the state. They're going to be in the businesses, going everywhere, because that's more money. So again, you have more money coming in. So usually, and you will be able to go out and pick up, if in 1939 you were selling buggy whips, I couldn't help you no matter what you were paying. So there are things like that that will happen, but then you can later say, see, buggy whips went out of business because they raised their pay. So we can't allow that to happen. So when we finish this, and when 2 years from now and you and I are discussing this again, I hope to be able to say, I told you so, that it's doing well.
Denny, nothing would please me more than to have you say that to me. Trust me. And I look forward to it. And I don't know about me, but I have no doubt that you're certainly going to be here in a couple of years. Just about done. What are we doing with respects to the Health Republic insurance debacle? Is there anything in the budget that deals with that?
Tell me what it is, the first part of it. What was it? Well, we're going to set up a program that will allow us to take care of the people that were in that insurance, and we will work it out in such a manner that no one gets lost on it, nobody loses. And, as we've done, we'll take it out and share. Usually they put them together with another insurance company, and that I haven't seen it, but they usually put that together, and that allows them to keep everybody insured.
No, well, okay. That might be my bad on how I asked the question. Those folks that lost insurance, they're taken care of. I'm talking about the health providers that the $200 million that's outstanding and owed to health providers as a result of Health Republic going bankrupt. I think we created a fund, or they're establishing a fund.
Yes, we did create a fund.
Okay. Where's the money coming from to fund that fund?
We haven't figured that out yet.
Okay, so, I mean, from what I can tell, it looks like they're going to liquidate the assets from Health Republic to help start that process.
That may be one of the ways, yes.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure a defunct insurance company doesn't have a whole lot of assets, certainly that are going to equal $200 million. Do we know how long this fund is going to last before they actually start making payments?
No.
Well, I have 3 years, actually, is what I was briefed on.
Yeah, you know more than we do.
How about that? Thank you, Danny, as always. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Mr. Lupinacci.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the chairman yield for a few questions?
Yes, I will.
Mr. Farrell yields.
I'm going to move you, Mr. Farrell, to the higher education portion of the budget. Of
Higher
this,
education, just
budget bill.
2
I just had
seconds.
the first question I have is...
Hold a minute.
Sure.
What do you got? I don't know, you didn't answer yet. Now, yes, we're ready.
So just in terms of the higher education portion of this budget bill, I know that the SUNY and CUNY tuition freeze, there'll be a freeze for in-state tuition, correct? And
Yes.
will the colleges be able to raise tuition up to a certain amount on out-of-state residents?
Up to 10%, yes.
Up to 10% at the actual college's discretion.
Yes.
But in other words, any resident that's attending the school for the next year will not see any type
Say
of...
that again, I'm sorry.
any resident that attends one of our SUNY or CUNY schools right now will not see an increase in their tuition.
Yes.
Okay, good. Just I know in the past several years in our one house budget, we've had the New York State DREAM Act. Has there been any thoughts of that in this budget bill?
No. Could not come to an agreement on it.
Okay, thank you. And then just one other question I have on this portion is that the non-public institutions are going to have to provide reports on tuition aid and placement reports. And I believe they're going to have to report to the chairs of both the Senate and the Assembly Higher Education Committee factors such as cost increases, graduation rates, and the percentage of students who are TAP and Pell eligible to make it a little bit more transparent in terms of how they spend their money and who their student body is. Do you know when these reports will be due to the Senate and the Assembly Higher Education Committees?
August 16th, August 15, 2016.
In 2016, thank you. Now, I know that these reports apply to non-public institutions. Do our public institutions such as SUNY and CUNY have to report similar data to us right now?
It's available.
Okay, good, thank you. I'm just going to move on now to the education portion of the budget. And I know we've made some great strides this budget session with the gap elimination adjustment. We completely eliminated the GEA, and of course an increase in foundation aid. I know in our one house budget there was talk about allowing a full day conversion aid in the budget. So there are still some school districts throughout New York State that still don't provide full day kindergarten. Either they provide partial or half day kindergarten or extended day. Did that make this version of the budget?
I'm going to have Kathy Nolan, Assemblywoman Nolan, take my position on this.
No.
But he's going to have some more.
Yes, yes, yes.
No. Okay. Good. Thank you.
I should say there was an attempt. I think we had some of it in our earlier versions, and there was an attempt by many colleagues. I'm looking at one right here to do that, and we're going to continue to work on that issue.
And maybe that's something, Chairman, we could do after post-budget also.
It certainly needs to be addressed, and it's unfortunate that our colleagues in the Senate and the executive didn't agree with the Assembly on that.
Right. Thank you very much. On the bill, Mr. Speaker?
On the bill, Mr. Lupinacci.
So again, as I was speaking prior with the chairman before, I mean, there's great strides here in the higher education section of this bill. One of the disappointing things, even though there are some, great things, the freeze on tuition for our in-state residents of both SUNY and CUNY schools, and of course, the elimination of the gap elimination adjustment for our school districts, and of course, an increase in foundation aid. One of the things that is disappointing is the full-day conversion aid to a 5-year spread period that still affects some of our school districts that don't have full-day kindergarten. And I know Assemblyman Ray and I represent one school district, particularly Harborfields, right in the between the 10th and the 12th Assembly districts, that still doesn't have the opportunity of having full-day kindergarten. And I know Assemblyman Zabrowski and Assemblyman Skoufis have been fighting very hard on this issue also that affects school districts in Rockland and Orange County. But going forward, I think it's a missed opportunity this budget cycle, and hopefully we can address it even post-budget because the implications won't be seen for the first 2 years in terms of aid. I am disappointed that the executive branch and the Senate didn't implement this, especially that we still are stressing early childhood education and pre-kindergarten, but still some of our school districts across the state cannot afford to implement full-day kindergarten at this time. So I think, going forward, it's definitely something that we have to push the Senate and the governor to make sure that we implement in the coming months. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chairman yield?
Mr. Farrell yields.
Thank you, Denny. A lot of the questions I had actually have been answered by you
All right,
already.
I'll sit down.
So so this will be a little quicker. I have a I just need a little clarification on something regarding the, in New York City, the implementation schedule for the businesses with 11 or more employees or those with 10 or less. As far as franchisees, there was a situation out in Seattle where they had something similar. There was a threshold as far as the number of employees and when it would be implemented. And some franchisees, for example, one, a Subway franchisee, Matthew Hollick, had 8 employees, but because it was Subway, the Subway stores, they were considered a larger corporation, so they kind of got penalized. Is there language in here just to clarify that a franchisee would not be part of the larger corporation?
Yeah, it allows the franchise to deal only with that specific store
Perfect. Okay.
for
Great.
the number of employees.
So the individual store itself. That,
Yeah, right.
Okay, great. That's what I was hoping for. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Speaker, on the bill?
On the bill, Mr. Murray.
So some of the questions, as I said, some of the questions I had that have been answered, some were, are we providing some funding to offset the minimum wage requirements? And yeah, there have been offsets to hospitals, nursing home, health care. I see one in another portion of the budget, minimum wage increase offset for 4201, 853 Special Act, and 4410 schools. I think all of these offsets, I think the fact that we have staggered implementation, I think the fact that we have the director of the budget having the power to delay or stop any scheduled wage increase, I think the fact that we've included all of that makes it perfectly clear that we're even acknowledging this is going to have an incredible impact on businesses. And see, there is no help, there is no aid, there is nothing coming for the businesses. So where does this money come from to pay for this mandate? You know, it's funny, we have the discussion about minimum wage. Minimum wage is not $7.25, it's not $8, $9, $10, it's not going to be $15. We can put whatever number on it we want. That's not the minimum wage. The minimum wage is $0. That's the wage you're going to get if you're an employee whose company has to close down because they cannot afford this implementation. That's the amount of your wage if the company moves out of the state because they cannot afford to stay here. And see, this isn't rhetoric, this is real. Because we're not the first to talk about this. This is out west. There's several places where they've implemented this. And here's some of the headlines from out west. Los Angeles garment industry frets over pay hike. Some say $15 minimum wage slated by 2020 will drive them out. San Francisco minimum wage increase pushes shops to the brink. How minimum wage increases went bad in San Francisco, Oakland, Seattle, and beyond. And see, this touched real businesses like Abbott's Cellar, one of San Francisco's most buzzed about new Mission restaurants, is closing its doors at the end of the month, citing the impending minimum wage hike as its death knell. Apparel manufacturer. This family-run business that contracts to make clothing for a company in San Francisco had to slash staff after Oakland's minimum wage increased. Bacanova, the restaurant. The restaurant servers will no longer receive tips. California Health Institute, in a letter to the New York Times, the owner wrote, "I will be moving my 2 companies out of Los Angeles when the lease is due to renew." So you say, oh, these are all companies out west. What does it have to do with us? So I reached out to the chambers of commerce throughout my district, and I asked them to please contact some of the businesses, and let me hear from them. And I got a lot of feedback, a lot of emails, a lot of letters, a lot of texts. I had one person who didn't identify if they owned a business or anything, but one person said, yeah, I think it's a great idea, we should do it. And then I had all these. And in particular, I want to share one gentleman, John Sarno, president of, and yes, it is a funny name, the Village Idiot Pub. It's a very popular pub and restaurant in the village of Patchogue. But he says, my name is John Sarno, and I am the sole owner of the Village Idiot Pub located in Patchogue. It is vital to speak against an increase in the minimum wage, especially for small business. We have had the minimum wage increased in the past 3 years by 24%. Any increase could lead to the elimination of the tipped worker which would in turn cause significant economic harm to our business and result in a massive disruption in an already busy industry. The system that is currently in place does not cater or help the little guy or blue-collar business owner. We are already overburdened with sales and payroll tax and now proposed increase in labor costs. Instead, they should be implementing small business tax cuts each year to offset the substantial increase in these costs. Now, the reason I'm reading this, and I'm going to read a few more, here's why. He says, this is the reason why you are an elected official, to be our voice and to be heard. And the thing that's troubling is all of these people that were emailing me and sending me these letters and emails, they're saying, why are our cries falling on deaf ears? Who will be our voice? And I'm not hearing that voice. I didn't hear it from the other chamber. I'm not hearing the voice. So you know what? I'm going to use the rest of my time. I'm going to be your voice, John. I'm going to be your voice, David Siegel from David Shoe Emporium, who says, as an owner of a retail establishment, the increase in the minimum wage would put me out of business. The retail trade is known for taking a person with little to no skills in the employment market and giving them the experience and knowledge to either move up the ladder or as a stepping stone to more lucrative employment elsewhere. Without the low starting wages, it will hurt both the employer and the potential employee. You see, just like the supply and demand of the marketplace, the job market can regulate itself without government intervention. Minimum wage jobs were never there to support a family. It's an entry point, not an ending point. I keep hearing these comments like, what was the one? Condemned to poverty. How about condemned to unemployment when you can't find a job because businesses are closing? Wouldn't that be worse? So we've got Gerald Rothaus from JR Computer and Data Services. The minimum wage hike is the attempt of the government to compensate the low-wage worker to make up for a failing economy and massive taxes, both of which cause the increased cost of living. The raising of the minimum wage becomes a social engineering faux pas that will have long-term negative effects on the economy. The real answer, reduce the cost of government, lower taxes accordingly, but unfortunately, Gerald says, that's unlikely to happen. And I think he's right, unfortunately. Tom Keegan from the Brickhouse Brewery. I find it a horrible idea that will significantly limit my ability to hire young people to starting positions. I've always tried to put kids on summer break to work where they get good real-world experience. You know, one stayed through college, law school, and now practices law in D.C. I would never have been able to start that young man, then a high school junior, with a minimum wage hike like the governor is suggesting. And it goes on and on and on. But again, you know what? I get it. These are from my area. How does it affect you? Well, how about this? Anybody here in the chamber go to the McDonald's right here on Empire Plaza? Yeah, well, I talked to John and Kathleen for about a half hour the other night. I wanted to find out the impact it would have on him. John and Kathy, they own about 10 restaurants here in the capital region, 10 McDonald's restaurants. He started 42 years ago. He was on the line right there in the restaurant, worked his way all the way up, bought his first one, expanded, bought more and more, and he said, you know what? How is this going to affect me? Fewer employees will be hired, reduce the youth employment, reduces cash flow. He informed us that there are 10 McDonald's restaurants here in the capital region up for sale, no buyers. And the reason? Everybody cites the same reason. Are you kidding? The minimum wage increase will kill us. No way. I asked him about automation. Is that coming? He said, yeah, it's being tested in the city right now. It's very expensive. That's why it wasn't used before. But now when they start looking at automating as opposed to this increase, it's starting to look a lot better for them. So don't be surprised in a year or two when you go down into Empire Plaza, you want to get that Egg McMuffin, you're going to just punch it into a little kiosk. There's not going to be somebody there with a nice smile and a how are you and how can I help you? No, they're going to be gone. They're going to be one making that zero minimum wage. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, this isn't something that comes with no impact. This is going to impact businesses greatly. I mean, greatly. And the only thing that makes me happy about this, the only bright spot that I could possibly see is that little caveat there that says that the director of the budget will have the power to delay or stop any scheduled wage increase, because I think in a couple of years' time, he's going to have to pull the plug really quick just to save this state and save this economy and save a lot of jobs. So I'll be voting against this, and I'm begging you, for the good of our business people, for the good of the small business people who feel that they don't have a voice, be their voice. Say no to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Mr. Skoufis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm wondering if the Education Chairwoman would permit me to ask a few questions.
Ms. Nolan, will you yield?